Hello, this is Ross with DragTheBar.com, and for this video I will be playing two tables of 100 No Limit 6 Max on PokerStars. So I just opened up the tables and just sat in on both the tables, and I'm going to post my blind here. I see this guy just made a 4-bet bluff. Just put a note on him. I think he went 10 to 25. So just know he's capable of 4-bet bluffing. Just make a note that that was heads up as well. I'm gonna get my Holdem manager open here, and just be 1 second. I'll be having my stats displayed then. Okay, I'm starting the import. And it looks like it's a very aggressive match here. They got it all in by the churn, and Kid A ended up making his spade there on the river for the flush. Let me see how that played out. Yeah, he called a 3-bet with King 7. So here, player is new to the table, min opens, and I'm gonna bump it up here from 2 to 6.5. Try to build a pot with my King Queen suited. I think by making a 3-bet here, it'll help me stack them if I hit, a good hand, say top pair on the flop, or flop, a good flush draw or something, straight draw. Yeah, I think that's pretty standard to make a little 3-bet there against the 60 big blind stack to the min open. So here with ace-8 suited, I'm going to open that in the small blind. And don't have really any reads on these players yet. Not many hands played with anybody, at least on the left table. Table on the right, I have a few hands with each of the players there so far. So this player here, this Leo Bello, set at both tables, so I'll assume he's a reg. Right here I'm going to open ace-4 suited on the button. Again, I think it's pretty standard open. And I get 3-bet by the small blind, who has really loose aggressive stats for the hands I have on him. Just going to assume that those hands were probably played heads up, just because not many people play 50-43 6 max. I mean, occasionally you'll find someone who plays that aggressive, but not usually. So I'll just assume, and it's a small sample size, so I'll just assume those were probably heads up hands that we played here. So I open ace-10 here in the cutoff, and get flatted by the small blind, and it's a 5-6-7. Pretty dry flop, very dry flop. I'm just going to check back my ace-10 here. So there's a 4 of clubs on the turn, gives me a nut flush draw. Also makes straights possible, and I'm just going to bet my ace-high flush draw here, and I hope to take that one down. And I open Jack-Queen here in under the gun +1, and I'm able to pick up the blinds in that one. And here I get called, and the river's a jack. I think I'm getting called here pretty often. I think he probably might have an 8, maybe even pocket 3s or something, a decent amount, but I'm just gonna fire again just because. Okay, he had 2 pair, and wasn't folding that hand either. So maybe it's a bad bluff, like I said before I fired river there. I felt that I was getting called pretty often. Maybe it was a mistake to bet, but wasn't winning the pot by checking down, so I decided to make the aggressive play. And just gonna make a note on him that he I think I opened in the cutoff that hand, or else it doesn't really matter that much positioning. Call a cutoff open in small blind 5-6 suited. Just that's a good note to have on this player here. He's probably a reg because he's sitting at both of my tables, and for him to be calling with 5-6 suited in the small blind there out of position, I think that's probably a pretty loose call. Probably too loose, not going to be profitable to make that call against most players unless, he's really going to be outplaying. Outplaying me post flop is really the only way he can make that call profitably. So just, I'll just know that he's capable of showing up with like suited connectors when calling raises out of position. Look at the hand history of that last hand there. Alright, here 9-10 suited on the button. I won't be playing to the open there. So I see this guy here who won that pot with a 2 pair. I'm just going to say the call raise pre-flop with a queen 6 suited. So from that we can assume that he's probably playing any reasonable suited hand, probably not folding many king, queens, probably playing like he's definitely going to be a guy who's going to be calling with like jack 9, jack 8 suited to early position opens like he did there with the queen 6. So just be aware that he likes to probably play at least a lot of suited hands, if not a lot of a lot more speculative hands. And on the table on the right, this player here, this Chimelo, seems to be a little bit fishy, but besides that, nobody seems to have stats that are too unreasonable. Table on the left as well seems to be a lot of reg type players here. With ace-2, you could choose to ISO, but I'm not going to do that with ace-2 suited. I like to have a hand that's a little stronger, or else a little bit easier to play post flop than ace-2 suited. Ace-2 suited is not going to hit a whole lot of flops. Okay, what I'm going to do is just pull out this table to the left, and I'm going to pull in a new table. I just sat down with this guy. He's sitting with over 2.5 buy-ins, so, and there's a good chance this guy's multi-tabling, so I think if I can play him heads up, I could definitely have an advantage, just because I'm able to pay more attention if he is playing, several tables. And he's taking a while to act, so there's a good chance that he is playing quite a few tables. And I feel if you're a pretty decent heads-up player, it gets down to short-handed on the 6 max tables. A lot of times the guys, they don't have that great of a heads-up game, so can take advantage of that as well. Just looking for a little more action too. And a lot of times when two regs are playing heads up, especially at smaller stakes like this, doesn't take that long for some more players to sit and for the table to fill up. So you're never usually playing more than 20, 30 hands heads up before the table fills up. So here I open jack 9 on the button, pretty standard I think. Continuation bet, he calls, and then leads on this turn, and I'm not going to try to steal that one from him at all. I'm just going to give up at that point and fold. Here I decide to open 6s under the gun. I think that's pretty standard as well. Open 6s under the gun. The only hands, pocket pairs I wouldn't open, under the gun, I might not open, If it's a tough aggressive table, you might consider folding, maybe 2s, 3s, and 4s under the gun. 5s and 6s, if it's unopened before me in a 6 max game, I'm pretty much opening from any position. So here I pick up 10 jack, table on the left, and I'm going to call the raise with that hand. Jack 4 on the right, I'm going to fold. And I do flop middle pair on a jack king 6 rainbow flop, and he checks it back. I can go for a bet here on the turn, but I don't think I'm getting called often by anything that I beat. So what I decided to do is check back, and the only reason to really bet that turn is to charge over cards and possible draws. But I feel if I can check it back, might get him to fire with or check again on the turn. If I check again on the turn there, I might get him to fire with air, and then I can pick off a street, or then I might be able to get some value on the river as well, like I was going for there by checking the turn and river blanks off. I think I can get some value there with my jack. But as it was on that turn, I'm really not getting value by many from many hands. A bet is fine there, just because of what I was talking about. You know, it's pretty close between a bet, I think, because the bet does protect against, you know, 10 queen or any draw. You know, I don't think he checks back 10 queen that often, but protects against overcards as well. Here I decided to 3-bet. It's going to be my first 3-bet in 14 hands. Queen 9. And it's kind of one of those in-between hands that I don't really want to call with out of position, so I do decide to 3-bet that one. Okay, ace 2 here in the cutoff. I'll be opening this one. And even though this player is probably multi-tabling and playing a lot more tables than me, he still seems to be playing, you know, pretty decent, at least as far as pre-flop goes. Heads up, he's playing so far pretty aggressively, 46-38, which is you know, a lot of times you'll be playing these 6 max guys heads up, and if they're playing, like, you know, 20 other tables, you know, you catch them, you know, playing too tight, you know, folding too many buttons when they're playing heads up, you know, playing more 6 max type of stats in a heads up game, which is really not going to work out very well for them. But this guy seems to be playing well heads up so far, at least as far as pre-flop goes. So here I get 5s, which I will open under the gun. And I think I'm just going to close this table on the left. Oh, never mind. I had another table I was going to open up, but did end up getting action from a 60 big blind. Like I was saying, you know, alright here. With 5s, it's a small re-raise. I'm going to call. Sit back in here on the left. I didn't mean to sit out, and luckily I do flop my set, so I'm gonna hope that he has the overpair and just go with it. I get let into here, and I'm just gonna raise it up pretty big, you know, to 16. The pot's 18, so you know, it's less than the pot size, but definitely won't have a problem getting the money in against either player making that bigger raise, and end up just folding out, which is fine. And what I was saying about the table on the left, I found another table that was playing, I think, 3-handed and a shorter buy-in, like a 60, but big blind player sat. And I was going to open that one, but we did end up getting action from more players here. So, you know, if the guy was playing too tight heads up, I would have continued playing him, but I wasn't going to play that guy heads up any longer, just because I didn't feel that I really had a real strong edge against him. He seemed to know what he was doing, but the table filled up, so I'm going to end up staying. So here I pick up ace king on the button, and I'll be opening that one. And I'm kind of curious as to what this Leo Bello, the guy who was on my other table that ended up closing out, what he 3-bet with. Just put a note on him that he 3-bet from 3 to 6 pre-flop. You know, there's always a chance that was a misclick, but I want to make that note just in case it wasn't. Here I'm going to fold 3-4 in the big blind, 3-4 suited, 3 to 6 pre-flop, and then folds to bet and raise on 10 jack 5 suited flop. So, you know, I don't think that he had an overpair there, especially since it seemed like, if I remember right, he folded fairly quickly. So here I get Jack Queen, and yeah, I think that's a fine hand to 3-bet with here. You know, considering stack sizes too. Playing a little more than 100 big blinds. In position with Jack Queen. I don't really like calling there with Jack Queen that much. 3-betting I think is fine. And well, here I flop middle pair, and you know, as much as I hate going for pot control lines, especially on these type of boards, I think I'm just gonna do it here and check back. And the turn's an ace, which gives me a flush draw as well. And I don't think I'm getting much value from hands that I beat here, so I'm just gonna continue to check it. River's an 8, same story. I'm not really getting value, and if he does bet here, yeah, he bets pretty big, and I think he's probably playing. He's probably got a strong hand here pretty often. Just because I'm not going to check back this turn with air very much, so he's got to give me credit for something, and I don't think he's going to be bluffing there, you know, that often on that river. So I just decide to fold. You know, might have been played a little bit weak, but yeah, I think that's fine for the most part for the way I played that. So here, I think this guy's new to the table. Opens to 2.6 in the cutoff, and I'm just gonna flat with King Queen suited here in the big blind, and then I flop top pair, so I'm gonna check to him. Right now the pot is 545, and he makes a really small bet. You know, that's about a third of the pot that he bets, and I'm just gonna raise this one up here. Alright, so here it's opened under the gun, and I'm just gonna flat with ace king. You know, I think 3-betting is fine there too, but the reason I do like to flat with a hand like ace king in that spot is partial. I guess it's deception that I like to flat there. And all right, this guy probably has an overpair, making the raise to the lead. And the fold to ace king. To action, 2 players ahead of me, but you know, deception is only one, and probably not even the strongest reason that I decide to flat the under the gun raise. I think that his range is pretty strong there, you know, decently strong. But when I 3-bet an under the gun raise, my range is going to be very strong. And I think that he's probably even folding ace queen, definitely folding ace jack or ace 10, which he would open in that spot if I 3-bet with ace king. But if I decide to just flat there, and then say we hit an ace on the flop, or you know, say he's got ace jack and the flop comes, you know, ace 2 7 or something like that, rainbow, then I can decide to raise that, you know, raise the flop confidently. And you know, I think there's more hands that I would get action from, is what I'm trying to say, if I just flat with the ace king, because he'll give me give me a little less credit. So here this guy's been opening a decent amount, and I pick up king queen, and I'm gonna 3-bet to 11 point, yeah, just some random amount, just random 11.65 I think is, you know, right around the right 3-bet size here. You know, they got a couple of shorter stacks, but it's about $10 in dead money. And this guy, who is I started out heads up against, calls a 3-bet in position on the button, and so I'm going to bet just about half pot here on the flop. That doesn't hit me at all with king queen, which is going to be my standard continuation bet size there. Here I 3-bet with king queen as well on the other table, and don't flop anything there either, but again, I'm just going to continuation bet, because it's pretty raggy flop And I think I can take it down, you know, if he misses that flop as well. So here it's min open by the button, and I pick up jacks, so I'm getting a lot of hands to create some action with, and I 3-bet from his 2 to 7. And we'll see what he does. Okay, here I open Queen 10 on the button and get 3-bet. I'm just going to fold that one. Here it's really interesting. He makes the small 4-bet, which makes me think that, you know, he can either be bluffing or else maybe he's got aces or kings. But I'm still going to shove just because I think that, okay, he did have me beat there, so I'm probably going to lose this pot with jacks. But in that spot, it's pretty much just a cooler there to get his kings on the button against my jacks in the blinds. You know, even if he had 100 big blinds there, I'm not folding. So you know, maybe I did pick something up from, you know, his 4-bet size is just screaming, you know, get the money in. But again, I don't have many hands on him, and you know, sometimes I'll see, you know, donks, you know, do that with, you know, random, you know, you know, other type of random hands. So I mean, I thought that it was a good chance he had a big pair, but then again, I've seen some play like that where they've had not so good hands. So, and you know, jacks in almost a blind versus blind situation, it's just like pretty much get it in, especially versus less than 100 big blinds. So this guy here makes a small 3-bet here, and my 10s, I haven't seen him 3-bet yet, but I haven't played many hands with him. Definitely gonna call, not gonna fold that before the flop. And Jack 3 is a flop, so I think that might against this type of player especially slow down, you know, maybe some of his action from like aces or kings. I don't think he's going to be betting 3 streets with those type of hands. So he bets here like just under half pot, and I'm going to check call. Turns an 8, and I'm going to check to him again. He bets real small again, so you know, again, I think he can be doing that with a lot of hands. I'm just going to check call and see what he does here on the river. I think that a lot of times with the big overpair here, he's going to check back. So when he does bet the river there, I think, you know, sometimes these guys can be betting those big hands like that for value, like aces or kings or queens or 3 big pairs that beat me. But again, I think since he did bet 3 streets, it's a little okay. He did have the kings and value bet 3 streets against me there. So here I pick up ace queen suited and 3-bet, and I'm able to pick that one up. And I'm making a note on this guy that 3-bets my under the gun +1 open on the button 3 to 6 point. What is that, about 6.25 I think he did. It doesn't really matter, just that as long as I know there's a really small amount. And then bet smallish 3 streets. What was it? Jack 3, you know, that's 4-8, something like that, to that effect. So a lot of times these guys are gonna, when they see the paired boards like that, they're gonna get scared with their kings. They're not gonna value bet at 3 streets. He did value bet that hand 3 streets there with the kings. So I definitely did give him less weight to the aces and kings type of hands since he did bet 3 streets. Just because those guys seem to get scared a lot on that type of board. But he did bet and got value from me for 3 streets there. So ace 4 here in the small blind, folding that one to the open. On the table on the right, everybody seems to have pretty reasonable stats, except for this guy who is getting kind of short stacked. So I'm gonna be looking for maybe a new table to join now at this point. And here with Queen 10 suited, I'm gonna click the sit out here. I found another table to join. Here, we'll see if we can get any better action. And when you're playing a lot of tables, usually when I'm playing 6 max, I'm playing, you know, between 10 and 15 tables. So my table selection methods when playing this many tables, you know, I'm not playing that many now, but when I am playing that many, a lot of times I just look for players, you know, especially at the 50 big blind min tables. If you find guys with less than the max buy-in, or who are not reloading, a lot of times you can figure that they're not a regular player and probably not a winning player. So those are good tables usually to sit at if you see guys not reloading. Right here I saw this guy with $60 stack right here, so and he calls small blind open, which is also a good sign. And I was able to take direct position on him on this new table. But what I was trying to say is, a lot of times when I'm playing that many tables, you know, a lot of people think, oh, it's so hard to game select because you have so many other things going on playing that many tables. What you can do is just, you know, sit at the table, and after a few rounds, you can usually tell how good a player is just by how their stats are showing up at that time. You know, if their VPP is, you got a guy with a VPP, you know, over 40 or 50, you know, it's probably going to be a good table to stay at. And then, you know, if you find that everybody does have real, you know, tight stats, regular stats, you can just leave. You know, there's nothing really lost by sitting at the table just to find out. So here it gets opened by the half stack, and Jack Queen can't really see anything to do with that hand other than call. So I do decide to call, and he bets the flop, and at this point I can decide to raise or call with this hand, and I'm just going to call. And so an ace turns, and we will see what he does. He does decide to continue barreling, and at this point I think I can narrow his range down a little bit. You know, maybe he would probably bet an ace here, but again, the ace is a great bluff card. I'm just going to keep calling on the turn and see what he decides to do on the river. It's taking a while to act here on the river. And he does check, and here I think I'm just gonna check it down. Don't see him calling with too many hands that I beat at this point. All right, and he did make his ace on the turn, so it was a good check for me on the river by not betting. I think that if he would have shoved that river, I probably would have called him. Just because players like that, even as you can see with ace queen there, he's not even value betting. So when someone isn't value betting that part of their range, like aces there, which I think he definitely should be value betting, when they're not value betting those type of hands, you can really polarize their range when they do bet that type of river. So I can even make a note on this guy, you know, open small blind ace queen, bet jack 8-4, I think it was a suited flop, bet ace off churn, and then check. Well, you know, the river was a blank. I think it was like what was it? I don't even remember like the exact flop. I just like make up and go back and look to see exactly what the flop was. Okay, it was a jack 6-3 suited flop, bets an ace off, and then checks a 9 off river. So I can use that type of information against him in the future, just to know that, you know, if he bets that river, he's probably not gonna have ace queen, ace king, or really any aces there. He's either gonna have air or he's gonna have 2-pair plus in that spot, and that's a good thing to know against that player right there. And that that is kind of what I suspected his range to be if he were to bet that river, to really be 2-pair plus or air, and that's my reasoning why I would have called had he shoved that river. So here, guy limp calls in the small blind versus my tens, and flops ace 9-3. And okay, he checked min raises, and it's kind of a tough spot. What I like to do here, given these odds, is just call, and if I can hit a 10, then I will try to get his stack. If not, probably just give up on the hand. So he quickly checks on the ace turn, and I think he probably had a big hand there. I'm just gonna let that one go. There's a good chance he might even boat it up on the turn with ace 9 or something. These type of players like to limp those hands in the small blind. And his tricky check min raise, and then the ace on the turn. He's probably going for a check raise again, even though he doesn't have to, but I'm sure that's what he was trying to do. Alright, so here I pick up 3-6 offsuit in big blind. Probably won't be playing this one. Yeah, I'm able to win because it folds around to me. And here I get 4-5. And it's open, so I'm not going to be playing that hand. Although that might have been a decent spot to 3-bet. It wasn't the greatest spot, but the guy does open a lot, 30%, and so far, when he's been 3-bet, he's folded right here. I didn't go over my stats at the beginning of this video, which I'm sorry, I should have probably done. If you've watched my my previous videos before, you'll know what my stats are. I'll go over those in 1 second here. Great spot for him to be 3-betting light, so I'm just going to 4-bet him light with queen 8 with intentions of folding if he shoves, and it works there. Here, what's this guy up to? Alright, definitely going to take one card here with my ace jack. I got backdoor flush draws along with my top pair and gut shot. And he bets again. And really, it's alright, here with my ace 5, queen's an overcard, scare card. I'm just going to keep betting it with my gutter. And he min raises me, and I'm going to have to fold now. What's this guy? I think this guy probably has a big hand here. If I'm able to churn, like a flush draw, I'm definitely going to take another card. But even though it's less than, it's actually about a quarter or a third of the pot, I still don't think I'm ahead there, really often at all. Versus that play, and then I'm going to be, a call there. I'm probably going to have to make another tough play, tough decision on the river. With 2 pair there, I'm probably definitely calling down. But I think that he has 2 pair or even 10 jack is definitely in his range with the amount of hands that he plays in that spot. And I really don't think this player is ever making a play there with total air. If I did have him beat, maybe the one hand he would try that with is like ace 10 or something. But I really don't think I have him beat there all that often. As far as the ace 5 hand goes, I think that was pretty standard continuation bet and then double barrel. Once he min raises turn, I hate to keep putting everybody on all these monsters, but again, I really can't see making a case for doing anything but folding there. I mean, if I call, it's got to be to steal, because I'm definitely not getting odds for my gut shot. It's definitely, if I call, it's got to be to try to steal on the river, which I don't think is a really good play there. Because I've tried it before, and it doesn't work nearly as often as it would need to. I definitely have tried that kind of a play before. Call churn and then raise all in on the river. That usually always getting called in that spot. So try not to make that play. Alright, so far I'm not really able to get a whole lot going this session as far as making money, but I'll see if I can turn that around. I think I've been going for about half hour so far, so still got a little while to try to turn that one around. Haven't been card dead. I've been getting a lot of hands, but it seems like when I am getting the hands, people are getting better hands than me. I had the 10s versus the kings, which lost decent amount with. I had the jacks versus the kings, and here I ISO on the button and flop a nut flush draw along with a gut shot to the straight. So I just continuation bet, and I'm able to take that one down. Yeah, it is a tougher spot there with that nut flush draw if I do get raised. Depending on how big they raise it to, you know, if they make a big raise, it's really a tough spot, and you might even consider folding the nut flush draw with your gut shot. But you know, if it's a smaller raise, definitely going to take a card with your nut outs. But you know, luckily it didn't happen. So here I open under the gun, get called by this player here. Just continuation bet with my ace jack, and take that one down. And wow, that's a huge huge 4-bet. Guy goes from 10 to 37. And here with ace 4, I'm not going to play to the small blind open. Man, that was just a ridiculously large 4-bet size there. Leads all in. This guy, I get cold called by 2 people too. You know you're at a good table when you know those 4-bets for half the stack are getting cold called. And you got ace jack shoving a gutter into top set and sucks out. So yeah, this table here on the right is definitely a good table, especially after seeing that last hand. What do you know, he doubles and leaves, so maybe not so much anymore. But ace 2 suited here. Alright, here's a good spot to squeeze with ace jack. You know, especially got this guy calling a lot of hands, you got this guy opening a lot of hands, so ace jack's going to be good often here. It's going to be the best hand, and I don't expect this guy to be calling that often. We'll see though. Okay, he does call. Here with my ace 2 suited, continuation bet, got top pair. I think that's pretty standard. And here I'm just going to make it about 2 streets. First street will be 16, and next street will be all in if he decides to play. Here I get check raised big on a very dry board. I'm going to call the check raise. Think his range here is probably, you know, sets or air. You know, he can call with ace 6 or ace 3 pre-flop too, probably with those stats, maybe. And he fires again quickly. And alright, I'm just gonna give him this one. Give him credit for the 2 pair of the set this time. That was a really big flop. Check raise, almost unnecessarily big. It made me a little bit suspicious. I could have called there, but if I'm calling there on the turn, then I can't really fold the river. And you know, it might be bad there. It is really bad if you're going to be calling, you know, there a flop there a lot and then folding churns, especially if they're firing the churn a lot. But you know, sometimes those guys will give up on the churn, and sometimes your reads change throughout a hand. You know, there I really thought that that on the flop I was good often enough to call, but then with his churn, especially the churn bet sizing, it kind of seemed like he was just inviting a call and, you know, setting up the river shove. So here I'm lucky enough to river 2 pair. I was kind of betting for value all along, but now I'm thinking that oh great, what does this guy have? What does he have? 5. Yeah, I mean 8-9 is a double gutter. So he would probably call both streets with that, and 10 jack. You know, to I don't think he's bluffing me there very often. Alright, with King Jack here, I'm going to call on the button to his cutoff open. Could make a case for a smaller 3-bet there, maybe to like 8 or so. Try to build a pot against him. Okay, here, King Jack's really not a hand in this spot, especially, we've seen him before. The only reason I'm going to make this call is because it's barely over the minimum and we're closing the action. Maybe we can flop trips or something, flop the straight, and then win a big pot. But really, King Jack is not a hand to be calling a 3-bet in that spot. And bet and raise makes a really easy decision for me on the flop. Yeah, this guy's playing exactly the way Donk would play aces, pocket aces here. So I expect this Arnold guy here to probably show up with aces. Maybe ace king, but probably aces. Alright, threes here, playing 5-handed. I'll open that one under the gun. And I get called here by the guy in the cutoff, and then called again by the big blind. And I don't think this is a good flop continuation bet. It just makes so many draws for so many hands, and this guy makes my decision even easier by leading into me. I do think I'm playing like maybe a little bit little weak this session, but I really don't think any of the plays that I've like overall it might seem like I'm playing weak, but really I don't think any of the plays I've made so far have really been that bad. I felt pretty strongly that every time that I've folded so far, I've been folding a lot, but I felt pretty strongly each time that I have been beat. So I think I am making good folds here, and it's just sometimes you run into a spell where everybody has the nuts against you, just about every time, and that's part of poker, and I think that's probably a little bit of what's happening to me right now, is I'm just probably running into a lot of big hands. People have been able to win pots from me without showdown, which means I'm not 100% sure that they always have it against me. Like when I folded the 7s and 10s there, not 100% sure he has it there. It could be a bluff, but that kind of player, I really don't think bluffs that much in that spot. So I think he's really always doing it for value. And I don't really beat any of his value hands there, even though I have 2 pair. So I decided to make the fold. And here with ace jack in the small blind, I'm just gonna fold that one as well. I just find that it's not gonna play well against his under the gun opening range. Which is probably might include aces that I beat, maybe like ace 9 suited or ace 10 offsuit. Maybe he would open under the gun. Probably not even ace 10 offsuit. He'd probably open ace 10 suited. So there are some aces that I can beat, but I'm out of position, and there's even more aces that I don't beat. Just don't find them play that very profitably. So here, this OSU Greg player here is he buys in for 75 all the time, and all right, I'm gonna leave this table here to the right, and got action at another table I was sitting at heads up. We'll be closing out the other table. And this guy seems like a fish. He's limping the button, so it's a good chance here. I flop middle pair and bet, call, and alright, he's got ace jack, so he's got me beat. So yeah, he's limping ace jack. Guy's definitely probably a fish. We'll see how long I get heads up. Probably won't be that long before somebody else already sat. So but at least there's a fish who's got almost a full stack at this table. And what I was going to say before, this OSU Greg player here buys in for 75 big blinds. So I think he's been playing a lot of 100 no limit recently. So one thing you're going to want to do if you have this guy at your table, when you a good adjustment to make I don't know. He probably even I don't really ever see him with more than that many, so I don't know if he gets up to like 80 big blinds and leaves or what his deal is, or but against a player like this, when you 3-bet, you're gonna wanna, you know, probably you can open up your range. You know, you can have just as wide a 3-bet range as you would against anybody. The thing is, you're gonna want to make the range definitely smaller than you would against a full stack player. Like as you could see there, I was in position with ace king suited when he opened, and I was on the button. I, instead of 3-betting from 3 to 9 or 10, which would be the normal for me, I just go to 8, and you could probably even get away with even a little bit smaller, maybe even 7.5. And then you could even work in more 3-bet bluffs with even the smaller size, I think. Just because he's playing a smaller stack, and the 9 or 10 works fine playing the full stack to get stacks in, with 3 streets in a 3-bet pot. But when he's only playing 75 big blinds, you only have to make it, a 7.5 or 8 pre-flop against him to get it in a bet situation post flop. So that's why I choose to make the smaller 3-bet. Okay, so we have this guy limp the button here, and we're just going to complete in the small blind with ace-6 suited. It's pretty standard, I think, there, and don't flop anything. So I'll try to see if I can work in that situation. The first time I 3-bet was for value. We'll see if I can get a 3-bet bluff in against this OSU Greg player here. And just looking at his stats, I have almost 700 hands against him, and I don't think they're all recent, but if he's playing anything now like he played when I used to play with him, the guy doesn't call 3-bets often at all, which he opens pretty normal amount. 16 is not unreasonable. But when he's folding to that many 3-bets, and especially since he's playing that type of stack size, and we can make smaller 3-bets, it's going to be really valuable to open up our 3-betting range against this type of player. Alright, so King 8, if he opens here, alright, never mind, after the limper, I'm going to throw out everything. If he would have opened on the button, with no limping or anything, I would have tried another 3-bet, probably from 3 to 8 if he would have made it that. But yeah, I think this guy's limp re-raising here is his strategy. So and 10-8 offsuit. I think 10-8 offsuit has some value in being opened here if it were to fold around to me. The problem is at this table, I'm just, it's not really a problem this guy's playing so loose, but I'm not able to really steal the blinds as often because of it. If it were to fold to me there, I think I could open against this guy. While he's 3-betting, pretty often, and probably 3-betting late position opens, when he doesn't 3-bet, he's folding. So the guy's really never, I'm not going to say never, but he's not often calling opens, given his VPP stats are exactly the same as his pre-flop raise stats, meaning if he plays a hand he's raising, he's not calling. So that's really going to polarize his range when I'm opening in late position, and I'm going to be able to probably open just about any small blind against his big blind, and he's either going to 3-bet or fold, meaning probably fold a lot more often than 3-bet. Alright, and pick up 7-2. I'm going to fold that one. Check my Holdem manager, see just how much I've lost so far this session. I know it's been a bad session for me. Yeah, I'm down just under a bind and a half, down $145. Running a bit below EV. I forget the hand where the EV came into play, but it's not really that important. Running about $22 below EV, but it's been a slow session. I was getting some hands earlier, just running in, like I said before, running into the bigger ones. And then when I'm value betting my hands, also getting raised and having to fold hands where I think I'm beat. I think I've been going for, if I remember correctly, about 45 minutes or so at this point, maybe even a little more than that. So I probably will be wrapping up the video pretty soon. Probably play a couple more rounds. I'm sitting at another empty table, so if I get action there, I might play a little heads up to end out the video. We'll see though. Table on the right, it's all regs and then a very short stacked fish, so I'm gonna just probably sit out on that one at this point. 8-9 here in the blind. It's open to 4 times under the gun. I'm gonna be folding that one. Oh, what do you know how to flop the nuts? Let's see if I can find another table. Alright, looks like there's 2 regs playing at this table, but probably get a little more action here since it's short-handed, and there's definitely always a possibility of fish sitting down when the table's not full. So we'll see what happens. I might get this spot where I can open the small blind like I was talking about before. No, it gets opened by Mad Hatter, and I'm going to 3-bet this one. Don't have many hands on him. I do recognize the name of him being a long-time reg, a guy who's been around for a long time. And he calls my 3-bet. I flop a gut shot here on a 9-6-9 flop, and I'm able to take that one down with the continuation bet. It's probably not a great spot to 3-bet there. Not the greatest, not the worst either. I mean, the guy so far seems to be opening plenty of hands, so he's definitely not going to have a super strong range. It's the button. The guy opens a ton. He's gonna have a super wide range there. So that's one good reason to 3-bet. But at the same time, just because of that logic, he can know that I'm probably going to be 3-betting him light there. So maybe calling me a little bit lighter here with Ace-8. I get let into on the flop, and this hand it's so mediocre. 8 high flush draw, really nothing else to go along with it. But I do think I can call here just because I think he'll give up a lot on the turn, and if he checks it, if he bets again on the turn, I'm gonna have to fold, and it's like a $4 wasted on the flop. But again, I find guys will bet that flop a lot, and then they will end up giving up on the churn. So if you were to check that churn, I can bet and take it away almost always. But he does barrel again, so I decided to just give up my Ace-8 with the 8 high flush draw. Alright, 3-4 suited. I do have I did get action on the table. I sat on by myself. It was actually a fish sat heads up, but now a bunch of regs sat at the table. I don't think I'm even gonna bring that one into play. Just probably gonna finish off play through on each table here. If I get something interesting on the top table, I'll just slide it right in into view so that you guys can watch me if I think a hand is going to be interesting at all. But I think it's probably going to be my last round here at the tables. We'll see if we can get any interesting hands going. Might get to try my small blind open here. Probably not though. Might to get alright. If he was gonna open, I was gonna try the 3-bet, but that didn't happen either. See if Hatter folds so I can try it. Opens again. Not gonna 3-bet him again though. Alright, and he does call, so we're gonna see these stats change from 14-14 to probably 15-14 after this hand. So it'll be the first time he's called a raise in 90 hands, and you can pretty much probably put him on, you know, some type of pocket pair there. And with his small bet there, I would even maybe put him on, like, you know, a middle-ish pocket pair, 7s or 8s. He bets bigger on the river, so I'd probably put him more or less so on 7s or 8s at this point. And he had the set, so it was a small pocket pair. But yeah, really felt strongly that he had a pocket pair there calling. The pre-flop raise out of position, just because he never ever calls pre-flop. Okay, ace-3 suited under gun. Don't open that one. As far as suited aces under the gun, I think ace-10 suited I would usually open in a 6 max game. Ace-9's kind of the borderline there. I might open that in a good game. You know, in a tougher game, I wouldn't even open that one probably. So I'm sitting out here. I'll show you this table here. I just opened deuces and got called by the donk who started the table with me. Plays a lot of hands, and I'm just continuation bet once here. Hope to take it down, but yeah, he calls, and this is not the kind of player here that's going to be folding a lot. You know, he'll call here with middle pair and a flush draw, or, you know, anything like that. So, and here I flop top pair, top kicker, and here an ace is rivered, and the only way I'm going to win this pot, I'm never ahead, so I'm just going to bluff the ace and hope he folds, even though he doesn't fold a whole lot. Thought that maybe I could fold a 10, but no, he had the ace, so I was actually ahead until the river card came, but that river made his hand. That was a good check by him, I guess, because he got me to bluff at it. Or no, actually, he was in position there, so. But yeah, I'm gonna sit out, and I forgot to click my sit out button here. Alright, so we see this guy likes to open a little bigger when he is out of position, small blind. He opens to 4 times. I make it 10, 6, 5, which is a little small, I guess, but it's I mean, smaller than most people would do, but it's completely fine to be going from 4 to 10.65, just because I'm not gonna have any problem getting stacks in with that amount. That's one of the disadvantages to making those bigger opens in the small blind, which I used to do that as well. Open bigger in the small blind to 4 times instead of 3 times, but I just find that that you're really burning money, especially if you're getting 3-bet light in that spot, because you know, it doesn't really help you build the pot so much. I mean, it does a little bit for a big blind instead of 3 in pre-flop the times they call, but I really think that you're just burning that extra big blind if you're ever getting 3-bet light in that spot, just, you know, because it doesn't really, that won't deter me at all from you know, making 3-bets. Some people might think that oh, I'm not going to get 3-bet as often with a 4 times open, but really against good aware player, you're going to get 3-bet sometimes even more often making the bigger open, just because there's more to steal. And if I can get away with making those 3-bets, you know, from 4 to maybe a little over 10, like there, I think I went 10.65. is definitely going to give me even more incentive to be to three bet light in that blind versus blind situation. I'm going to click my sit out button this time. And I'll get one more hand after this one, so we will see if I get a playable. Aces, aces. 4-8. Damn. Okay. That wraps up my video. I think I probably let's see what I was at. I'll bring my graph up here to see how I fared. Looks like I lost $157 here. Try to bring this right into view. So yeah, overall an unproductive session, but cards just weren't running my way this time. So showdown graph. One thing I think that I've been doing a lot better lately is I can show you. You know, I don't show you this. I don't know if I can make this bigger. It's probably a little tough to see this graph the way it is, but I've been doing a lot better in non-showdown pots lately, especially in my 6-max and full ring game, and I think a lot of that is attributed to just, you know, making these videos. I think it's helping me to really really find better spots, you know, to take pots away where I wasn't doing it before, you know, maybe just playing on autopilot. So really think that's helped me out. I'm trying to bring up my graph. Let me see if I can widen this screen. I'm not really great with yeah, I think once I've already clicked record, I can't really make the screen any bigger, but I'll show you my graph from last year. You know, if you're not interested in this at all, you can just turn off the video now. There's really not going to be any more play, but as you can see, last year in my showdown winnings, I was just steadily losing, and then at one point, you know, probably when I started making these videos, maybe a little bit before, I actually started going up in the non-showdown department, and you know, without a huge drop off, maybe a little drop off in my showdown winnings. Obviously, if I'm trying to steal more pots, and I'm gonna get caught more often and then lose more, but it's pretty much every month last year, and I was losing money in non-showdown until the last few months. I really started. Here's a graph I'm really proud of. Let me pull it up. Last month, I think I crushed in non-showdown, and yeah, right here, I made like $8,000 in non-showdown last month, which even more than my showdown winnings. And I think it's really just probably from finding better spots, making these videos. Really enjoy making them. But I'm gonna stop rambling on about my graphs. Hope you enjoyed the video. Didn't make money this video in this session, but I think I was still able to again find you know, find some good things to discuss, and hope this video is helpful for you. This is Ross Hartung, aka Milwaukee 2 on PokerStars, for DragTheBar, and signing off. Goodbye.